Welcome to week 10 of Explore the Bible. I don't know about you, but it's cold outside where I am, and I'm not used to it. I like the warm weather. I live here in South Texas and the Houston area, and it's been chilly this week. But maybe it's warm where you are, maybe not. Hey, let me know. What's the temperature like outside right now? It's about 45 here, a little chilly for me. All right, before we get into our passage here in the book of Exodus, be sure and subscribe. Hit the little subscribe button. Go ahead and do it. That's your New Year's resolution. Remember, hit the subscribe button, like, thumbs up. If you got a comment, question, put it in there, and then share the video with somebody else. All right, if you want to support our work, you can go to give.exposedtochrist.com to support our mission work. Let's look at Exodus chapter 40. Last week we had the construction of the tabernacle, right? Now the tabernacle is built. Moses did everything just as the Lord had commanded him. The tabernacle was, can we just stop right there? How good is that? How good is that? Moses did it just the way the Lord had commanded him. It reminds me a little bit of Noah building the ark, right? Do it just the way God wants. He set it out. He describes it. He is very exact about everything that he wants built and how he wants it built and the sizes and everything. And Moses just did it that way. This would be a great epitaph for anybody, wouldn't it? If they put this on your tombstone, Steve did everything just as the Lord had commanded him. Man, what a miracle that would be, right? What an amazing statement to make. Moses did everything just as the Lord had commanded him. The tabernacle was set up in the first month of the second year on the first day of the month. And Moses set up the tabernacle. He laid its bases, positioned its supports, inserted its crossbars, set up its pillars. And then he spread the tent over the tabernacle and put the covering of the tent on top of it, just as the Lord had commanded Moses. Okay, I want you to see something here. There has been time passing. We are now in the first month of the second year on the first day. So this would be the first day of the year. Now you have to realize that the Jewish calendar is not the same as the calendar we live under, the Gregorian calendar, not the same. So it's not January 1 for them. It's more in the springtime for them. This, maybe even late spring, but this is the second year. They've been out here for a while, right? Moses set up the tabernacle and he laid its bases. He did everything just the way the Lord wanted, right? Then he spreads the tent over the tabernacle, put the covering of the tent on top of it, just as the Lord had commanded Moses. That ought to be there'd be a theme verse for the year, right? Just as the Lord had commanded. Moses took the testimony and placed it in the ark. So this is the tablets, right? Attached the poles to the ark. He set the mercy seat on top of the ark. He brought the ark, this is the Ark of the Covenant. He brought the ark into the tabernacle, put up the curtain for the screen, and screened off the ark of the testimony, just as the Lord had commanded him. Again, just as the Lord had commanded him. You know what this tells you? That Moses took all of this that is done to exact specifications. He took it all very seriously. He wanted to do just what the Lord had told him to do, the way the Lord told him to do it. He took this very seriously. You know, I think that there's a great lesson for us in this idea that there is a way to do things that God has commanded, that God has laid out. And when we decide to do it our way instead of his way, in essence, we're saying, I'm just not taking you very seriously, Lord. And that can go from things like, say, culturally, marriage, right? And how we do marriage. We want to do it our way instead of God's way. Relationships, church, whatever it is, right? Our own walk. We're just going to do it our way. I don't want to do it God's way. I'll do it my way. Well, then I'm just not taking God seriously. And that's, that's not something that we would say normally. You wouldn't say, well, I just don't take God very seriously. If you're actually a follower of Christ, you would never say that, right? But we might, in essence, say it by the way we live. We just don't take him very seriously. And then the cloud covered the tent of meeting, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. And Moses was unable to enter the tent of meeting because the cloud rested on it. The glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. Man, the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. He says it twice, right? The glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. Moses couldn't go in. The glory of the Lord was there. This was the Lord's place. This was the place where he chose to take up residence, to inhabit, to be with his people here in the tabernacle. And the Israelites set out whenever the cloud was taken up from the tabernacle throughout all the stages of their journey. If the cloud was not taken up, they did not set out until the day it was taken up. For the cloud of the Lord was over the tabernacle by day, and there was a fire inside the cloud by night, visible to the entire house of Israel throughout all the stages of their journey. Okay, so you get this, we've got, the cloud and the fire inside the cloud at night, and it is visible to the entire house of Israel throughout the journey. For the 40 years they're in the desert, which they don't know that at this point, but that's going to be a long time, right? Okay, so you catch what's happening here is this cloud of the glory of the Lord has filled the tabernacle, and Moses can't even go in. And as long as the cloud was there, right? When the cloud was taken up, well, then that's when they set out, right? But if the cloud is not taken up, they did not set out. They didn't move. Whenever the cloud lifted, they moved, which meant they had to pack up the tabernacle and move, and then set it up again whenever they got where they were supposed to be. The cloud descends and it stays. If they wake up, the cloud's still there, then they're just staying. They're not going anywhere. Wow. What a way to... Now, think, they do this for years and years. We're not going to move until God says move. But when God says move, we're moving. And if God says stay, we're staying. This is a pretty good way to go about your life, right? To not move until God says move, but when God says move, it's time to go. We don't debate about it. We don't talk about it. We don't have business meetings to decide if we should follow God moving or not. When the cloud moved, they didn't call everybody together and say, okay, the cloud's gone. What do y'all think we ought to do? And the cloud moved, they moved. And they didn't wake up and go, I know the cloud's not moving, but I'm not really liking it here. I'm not feeling this place. Let's go somewhere else. No, they didn't do that. The cloud was still there. The glory of the Lord was still there, filling the tabernacle. We're not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere without God. It reminds me of one time the disciples are asked by Jesus, after a lot of people had deserted, the followers of, kind of the hangers-on had deserted, and Jesus said, are you going to leave me too? And I think it's Peter that says, Lord, where are we going to go? You've got the words of life. Where are we going to go? We're not going anywhere else, right? This is the Israelites going, no, we're not going anywhere else. This is God's here. We're staying here. What a good way to live, right? What a good way to go about your life. To say, wherever God is, that's where I'm going to be. And when God moves, then I'll move. But until he moves, I'm not going anywhere. Henry Blackaby, in his Experiencing God, has this thing, and I really like this. He says, continue to do the last thing God told you to do until you hear differently. And I like that, right? Just keep doing what you're wondering, what should I do? What's God's will? Well, what's the last thing God told you to do? Then just do that. And when he wants you to move, he'll tell you. He'll let you know. But until he tells you, keep doing keep going where you are. Stay right where you are. Keep at it. This is a trust in God. Now, I know that there had to be some within the crowd that had other thoughts, right? Because we see the Israelites, and they grumble about things left and right, right? But this, as a body, as a group, as a nation, they got this part. We're not going anywhere without God. Now, they come to a point where God's telling them it's time to go over there, and they don't want to go. Well, that's a whole other story. Maybe we'll get to that one later, but that's not this, right? This is when God moves, we move. When God stays, we stay. That's a good way. And then to just take this again, we'll go back here and take this. Do everything just as the Lord had commanded. I want you to see that Moses' attention to the detail translated to the followers, to the nation, because he did everything the way the Lord said. They tended to do everything the way the Lord said. Leadership makes a difference. Leadership affects followers positively or negatively, and because of the way he did it, he had a positive effect on the people. Hey, thanks for watching. Thanks for teaching. God bless you for that. Hope you have a great week. Be sure and subscribe, like, comment, share it with somebody else. We'll see you next time.